If you're hiring help as an interior designer and you're not seeing more profits, but it feels to you like all your margins are going to your team, stick with me. And in a moment, I'm going to break down the 4 biggest reasons why delegation eats your profit. The last one is the sneakiest, and it happens to almost every designer I talk to. So let's get into it. Here's what usually happens. You're trying to scale, so you hire a VA, an assistant, someone to help with your sourcing or your CAD drawings. But instead of making more, your take home isn't much bigger, and sometimes it even feels like you're making less. And why does this happen? A few key things here. The number one reason could be an unclear scope from the get-go, and that means that if you're not clear about what's included and not included, every small revision is going to be unpaid work. Because things happen, clients change their minds, maybe there are a couple of issues on site, and if you don't allow for that in your scope of work, you're gonna have to do it free of charge. The second is that you're not pricing for all your hours. You're pricing for design time, but what about all the tasks to the clients, the calls with the contractors, the prep, the follow-ups, all the admin tasks that you need to be doing for a specific project? If you're not counting those, they become non-billable hours. The third one is flat fees without buffers. Flat fees work really well, but if you don't add a cushion for delays, changes, or team hours, then the margins disappear fast. And then there's the delegation without a plan. Hiring help only works when your pricing covers delegation and still gives you profit. Now that you know what's draining your margins, let's flip it for a second. I'll show you the exact fixes that you can start implementing on your next project. And one of them is instantly going to add buffer to your flat fee rates. Okay, so let's go through the changes that are going to move the needle. The first one, you probably guessed it, we want to be extra clear on the scope of work. My suggestion is to have standardized descriptions for each type of service that you offer, whether it's e-design, styling, full renovation. Spell out what's included and what is not. And if clients are vague, make sure that you ask the right questions to understand what the scope of work is going to be based on what their goals are for their home. Second, you need to understand your full cost. You're gonna set your baseline rate, whether it's hourly or flat. It has to be based on things like softwares, tools, your time, your team's time, admin tasks. Everything needs to be billable time. And the more projects you've worked on in the past, the easier it's going to be, because you're going to have projects to look at, and most likely you will have made mistakes on the first projects, but the goal is to learn from your mistakes and understand where your time goes on each project. And in just a minute, I'm going to walk you through an example of how you can price for a project with delegation baked in. Third, we want to build in buffers and add-on. If you're pricing flat fee or a hybrid model of a flat fee plus hourly rate, include time for revisions or site visits. Once you've created a clear scope of work and you spell out loud what's included and what's not included, then you can add your rate for doing additional things. It always comes up. Maybe you need to go to site a few more times than the 3 site visits that you've planned into the flat fee. So how much are you going to charge for those additional site meetings? And if the client is needing more revisions and you've only allowed for 3, how are you going to charge for additional revisions for a project proposal? This is all important, and the clearer you're going to be, the less friction there's going to be with the clients, the smoother the communication, and when they know what to expect, they're going to complain less. Number 4, delegate with intention. List all the tasks that you want to be delegating within this project, whether it's drafting, sourcing, presentation work, whatever it is, write it all down. Then estimate the hours, decide who's going to do it and what their rate is. And as part of our service, what we do for clients is that we help them build this estimate early on, even at the proposal stage, so they have a really clear idea about what, like the amount of work that's going to be involved in those tasks, and it's much easier for them because they have already estimate and they can build their profit margin on top of that. Your pricing needs to cover delegation and still make you a profit. Delegation is all about multiplying your leverage and not eat your profit margin. And this is where it gets real. You'll see how the math works when you start pricing for a project the correct way. And honestly, if it's priced correctly, delegation will multiply this profit margin, and that's how you're going to be able to scale your business. Quick pause here. If this is resonating with you and you want my help implementing all of this step by step, check the details below for my upcoming intensive. Okay, it's time to talk about a real example. This is the framework that one of my clients uses, and I hope it helps you in your own business. Okay, so this client offers 3 services: e-design, full room design, and full renovation. Let's take the example of the full room design. This is what she does. She estimates the hours as if she were doing everything herself. Then she multiplies that by her hourly rate, in this case, $225 per hour. That becomes the client fee. And then she's gonna decide what she wants to delegate, like sourcing or drawings. In general, she likes to take care of the design and she delegates everything else. Since our team's hourly rate is $78 per hour, she's still keeping this profit margin on all the hours that she's delegating because the estimate is correct. Like, we help her estimate the project and she's gonna make a profit on top of all the hours that she's delegating. And I would even go one step further. Because she's freeing up, let's say 30 hours, she's gonna use those 30 hours to take on an additional project, also at her hourly rate of $225 per hour. And that means she's increasing her profit potential because she's making some money on the hours that she's delegating to us, and then she's freed up another 30 hours to work on an additional project, and that's how she's able to scale her business. And if we talk about a project like a full renovation, it's easy 150 hours of work, and she can't do all that by herself. It doesn't make sense. A lot of it is not part of her zone of genius. There's plenty that she doesn't want to be doing. But what she does is she's estimating the hours for the full scope of work that she has defined with the clients, that she has agreed on with the clients. She's going to multiply it again by her hourly rate. And later on, she's going to decide what she wants to do herself and what she's going to be delegating. She's still charging the client her own hourly rate, and that's how she can make a profit. Before we wrap up, here's what you can expect when you start implementing this framework that we just discussed today. First, you have fees that finally cover your true costs and leave you profit. Second, full clarity when quoting. You'll know what's included and what's not, and what's additional. The confidence to say no or charge more when the scope shifts. Also, more freedom, time for creative work, leadership, and more importantly, growth. Because the truth is, you need to start using a scalable model, one that includes delegation, that doesn't keep you in the seat of a designer who's doing everything on their projects, but a designer who has CEO time, who's focused on building a profitable and scalable business, one that's sustainable and that's going to give the best experience for their clients. If you like this framework that we outlined today, watch my next video because I'm going to share exactly how to price for full renovations when the scope is super fuzzy. And again, if this resonates with you and you want my help implementing all of this in your own business, I'm working on a high-touch intensive that's going to help designers put these ideas into practice step by step. So you can get all the details below in the description.